Hello, weary CrossFitters. My name is Dave Dawson, and I'm a member of Equip Fitness. This devotional is called Last Breath, taken from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15. Okay, since I'm old, I would like to take us back to the 1980s. The Cold War between the Soviets and the West was actually white hot. The epicenter, the very center of that struggle was the city of Berlin in Germany. There was a wall that divided the city into east and west. There was very little communication between the two sides. In fact, those in the east trying to get to the west were often shot right on the spot. So in 1987, the American president, Ronald Reagan, traveled to Berlin and gave a speech. At one point, he challenged Mikhail Gorbachev, the president of the Soviet Union. Reagan called out, and here's what he said: "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." 2 years later, that wall was torn down. East and West were reunited. Families were brought back together. Life was restored. As awesome as that moment was, there was a greater wall that was torn down. This was the wall between God and man. That wall was actually represented by a curtain in a temple in Jerusalem. In Old Testament times, there was a temple in Jerusalem where God met man. In that temple, there was a sanctuary called the Holy Place. And within that sanctuary was an inner sanctuary called the Most Holy Place. It was in the Most Holy Place where the presence of God dwelt. And the Most Holy Place was separated from the Holy Place by a giant curtain. That curtain separated the presence of a pure and holy God from a broken and stained humanity. It would take an act of God to remove that barrier, that curtain. And God did act. He sent his own son, Jesus, from heaven to earth. Jesus brought the presence of God right into the darkness of earth. As we all know, Jesus was crucified on a Roman cross. And then in the last few moments of life, his life, something happened. Here's our verse. Here we go. From Matthew 15. Jesus let out a loud cry and breathed his last. Then the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. When the centurion, a Roman soldier, who was standing opposite him, saw the way that Jesus breathed his last, he said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." So in his final moments, Jesus let out a cry of death. He took his last breath. His head dropped to his chest. At that exact moment, the curtain in the temple was ripped. It was ripped not from the bottom to the top. It was ripped from top to bottom. God himself tore that curtain down. The wall of separation was torn down. The way to God, to a relationship with God, to the presence of God himself was laid open, nothing between us. As CrossFitters, we know that most of the battle takes place right in our minds. We are closing in on 24 hours with a movement that is everybody's favorite: thrusters. To keep our mind in the right place, let's remember Jesus stayed strong to his last breath. We can stay strong in this next to last Golgotha workout. And as we complete this workout, let's feel free to talk to God no matter how we feel. We can have a tight relationship with him. Why? Because Jesus ripped down the curtain that hung between us and God.